Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm just going to be talking to you about the recent news about Sun and Moon. Just giving you my thoughts on basically what's been announced, the new starters, the legendaries, thoughts on the region, just anything else that comes to mind really to do with the Sun and Moon announcements. I mean, a bit slow, I have to admit. It was almost a week ago now, and I'm only just talking about them. But that is unfortunately one of the problems with having quite a limited amount of time to record, I guess. Yeah, really not the most exciting announcements that I've ever heard in terms of Pokemon reveals and starters and new generations and everything. But decent, I guess. As you can see, we're obviously on the Sun and Moon site. Just going to scroll down a little bit, or up in this case. Scroll down a little bit so you can see full screen there over the starters. First thoughts, initially, not that fussed. I mean, the main thing is they're all quite basic designs. Obviously, it's an owl, a cat, and a seal, basically. I mean, whereas in the past we've had some kind of slightly more elaborate designs, I guess. These are probably the most basic design Pokemon I think that we've had as starters in any generation. I'm probably going to be wrong. I mean, obviously you've got Squirtle, but yeah, as a three, these are all pretty straightforwardly just sort of an animal and not much else to it. None of them are hugely exciting to me. Out of the three, probably Litten I think is my favourite, but yeah, nothing that sort of blows me away. Whereas in the X and Y generation, as soon as they were announced, I mean, they were all good. I preferred them all to the three here, but Fennekin stood out straight away, and there was always one that I was like, oh, I want to do this. I'm going to go for this one. But yeah, these slightly underwhelming. Obviously, we don't know much about them yet. We don't know what they evolve into, which is going to be important, obviously. So yeah, I suppose I should really hold fire on any criticism that's too harsh at the minute, because they may turn into something amazing. I mean, we may find that Rowlet turns into some kind of amazing grass-type Talonflame equivalent, which would be pretty cool. But for the minute, it's basically just a ball with a bow tie and some wings. Yeah, I'm not super keen on them, I have to say. I mean, I think that's obvious from what I've said so far. I know Rowlet has been very popular online. It's already become pretty memey. But aside from the bow tie, I don't really see anything too exciting. The main thing, actually, thinking about it, the main criticism I could have of them is that all three of them basically look like they've taken two existing Pokemon, smashed them together, and then just coloured them the relevant type. So you start off with Rowlet, which basically looks like, obviously, Hoot Hoot. I think that's going to be a fairly obvious comparison. Mashed with, like, Piplup or, like, Solosis, and basically any ball Pokemon, like Voltorb or something. You could just mash two of them together, make it green a bit, and then you've got a round bird Pokemon like Rowlet. It's not, again, shockingly original. Litten, basically, to me, just looks like, I've now forgotten what it's called, Purloin and Glameow with an Alakazam moustache and a bit of red colouring on it. And Popplio is a mash-up between Seal and Rattata. So, I mean, to see that immediately is kind of disappointing. That, you know, you see these new Pokemon and you kind of just think, oh, they look like two old Pokemon. But yeah, I think it's probably wise not to get too critical, as much as everything I've said so far has been negative. Yeah, they're okay, but hopefully when we see what they evolve into, they're a bit more impressive than what we have here. I mean, we'll go through them all one by one, I suppose, because we can. We'll start with Rowlet. Get a nice shot of the Sun and Moon loading page there. So yeah, we can see the full stats. The Grass Quill Pokemon, so that's a bit like Chespin from last time, because that was evolved into Quilladin, so I suppose there's some kind of Quill connection, you could say, between the generations. Grass Flying is interesting typing. Obviously, kind of screws it over in the sense of taking on either of the starters, really, because you're going to be losing, obviously, to the Fire type, unless that ends up getting a second type that's like flying. Fighting, even, sorry. It's flying weak. And then, inevitably, the Water starter is going to learn Ice Beam or some kind of ice coverage move, which is just going to straight up wreck this. So, from a battle, like a circular perspective, it doesn't seem to fare well, but hopefully it'll find a niche. I mean, we don't know anything about the stats, we don't know necessarily what kind of moveset it's going to have. Obviously, where it says at the bottom here, if I read you the description, Rowlet can attack without making a sound! Exclamation point. Apparently that's really important. So whether we'll actually see that or not with any kind of... I'm not really sure if there are any sort of stealthy abilities or stealthy moves like that. The closest I can think of is like Feint Attack, but that's not really going to be the most suitable move I would have thought for a Rowlet. But yeah, it does mention about lashing out with powerful kicks, which is intriguing. So is this going to be like a physical based Pokemon? Are we going to get lots of kicks on it? Or is that just going to be an animation based thing where it does like Fury Attack with its feet or something instead of just a normal animation? That could be intriguing. Obviously it learns a new move. I don't know if that's on here. Nope, it's not. Oh, hang on, is it down here? No. Oh, there you go, yeah. Leafage. That's the new move. Reasonably bit of excitement about that from what I've seen. People are quite intrigued about the fact that it learns a new move, but obviously that's the base level move. It's going to be a move that's got a level 5. So it's just, as far as I can tell, it's just going to be a worse version of Razor Leaf. Yeah, it's not, again, nothing to get too hyped about yet, but I suppose really with the starters, you can't get too much hype about a level 5 Pokemon that you don't know anything about. It's, I mean, I kind of, I like the bow tie. How can you not like the bow tie, really? And when you scroll down to these, they're all quite cute. And yeah, I see the appeal of Rowlet. Obviously in the trailer where you see it turning its head, that's pretty great. It's a nice touch that they've actually gone for that and given it a bit of personality. But I don't know if it's going to be my starter of choice. I tend not to go for the grass type. I mean, to be honest, I tend to almost always pick the fire type. I don't know why, it just seems to have been that way. I think possibly only twice out of all the generations I haven't picked the fire type. Which is probably, I don't know whether that's a design thing or whether that's just a subconscious preference towards fire typing. But yeah, I'd like to give this a go at some point. I'm hoping it turns into something good. Obviously Grass Flying is an intriguing type, if not a particularly good typing. I mean, we've got Tropius, which is useless basically, and that's, I think, is the only other Grass Flying type in the, apart from Shame in the Sky obviously, is the only other Grass Flying type in existence at the moment. We'll see which side of the spectrum it falls on. I'm hoping it's more towards Shaman than Tropius, but yeah, it's intriguing. There's things that you can do that could make it worthwhile, that could make it a good Pokemon. So I think the kicking thing could be interesting if you end up starting giving it a few kicking attacks. Whether maybe you're going to end up with like a Grass Flying type dual attack, the same as you had for Flying Press from Hawlucha. Something like that could be an interesting way to make it stand out. I'm just wondering, possibly in terms of evolutionary lines, is it going to stay an owl? Are we going to get Hoot Hoot Noctowl again, that kind of thing, or are we going to get it evolving into some other elaborate beast, some kind of crazy massive bird, the same way that Talonflame Lime started out as a tiny little bird and turned into this massive hawk. I think I'd probably prefer it if it turned into something a bit cooler, or maybe even just turn into a different type of owl. Obviously a little round, I assume it's like a tawny owl or something. My owl knowledge is not incredible. But yeah, this kind of thing, it's a cutesy starter Pokemon, but it's not going to look like a cool final evolution if it carries on being just a tiny little owl thing, I don't think, unless you do something really clever with the design. We'll go back, which takes a few seconds because it's handy. And yeah, have a look at Litten now. As I say, probably my favourite of the three. I quite like the design, sort of the marking on its head there. I do like the Alakazam Tash, it's intriguing. Possibly a hint that it might get a Psychic typing. Well, obviously, that was last generation as well. If we end up with another Fire starter that finishes off as a Fire and Psychic type, that might be a bit disappointing. And obviously the fact that it is red and black in colour suggests maybe a Dark typing, which could be more interesting. I'm not quite sure in terms of, again, the type face trade-off. I'm not quite sure how that works when you have a Grass flying and a Fire Dark, and then whatever the Water one's going to be. I suppose they don't really sort of play off each other. There's not that kind of synergy. Whereas you had Grass, Grass fighting Fire, Psychic, and Water Dark last generation, which all are two separate triangles of typing, which actually work together. This seems like it's going to be just Fire, Water, Grass core, and then 3 random types possibly. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I like it. It is just kind of a basic cat with a sort of snarky emo boy face, I suppose. It's yeah, I'm assuming it's just going to evolve into some kind of massive cat. I like the Ember animation. You can see it there, kind of. That's the same thing they do for the Ember animation, which I did like again in the trailer. I do think they introduced the moves. The way they actually perform the moves is quite good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we end. Again, it's just going to be one of those things, I think, where we can't really judge them until we see what comes after them. Because it's not clear. Yeah, as much as we can try and infer stuff, we don't really know whether it's going to be Dark, whether it's going to be Psychic, whether it's just going to stay a straight Fire type, whether it's going to have some random type that we can't even see yet. But yeah, it's going to be something I would probably go for if all things stay the same. I would think Litten is going to be my starter, but I'm not hugely excited, as you can tell. I do kind of really want to see something incredible. Whether we see it or not, I'm not sure, but there's plenty of room for development. I mean, a cat is a very vague thing. There's lots of cats you can go for. There's plenty of scope for design there to, you can make it into a Jaguar or any other type of cat you can think of. So there's lots of ways to go with it. It could be pretty cool. I just worry that we're going to end up with another sort of fairly basic cat. Like, I mean, when I was saying about the mashups earlier, it's Purloin and like Glameow, or it's Purloin and pretty much any other cat that you can think of. There's like Meowth you could just mash it in with. I mean, there's so many cat Pokemon already that unless you stay away from the domestic cat sort of thing, it doesn't really hold a lot of intrigue. It's just, it's another cat with a different colouring on it. Great. I'm assuming, I mean, it seems sensible to me that they're going to evolve it into a bigger cat and a cooler cat, and they'll do something clever with the design and it will look amazing. But for now, it's just a cat. Basically a cat with a moustache and a sulky grin. It's not anything that I can really get too excited about. No new move, disappointingly. I mean, when you have one Pokemon that learns a new move, maybe it would be nice to give the other two a new move as well, but just gets Ember, which is kind of a bit underwhelming after you get a new move for the first Pokemon. But maybe it's going to get something later on, like I forgot what it was, magical something, Magic Fire or something. I can't remember what the move that Delphox Line got last year was. But last gen, if only it was last year ago. But yeah, maybe we'll get something later on. It might get its own unique move then. But then again, it might not. We might be stuck with Ember, Flame Wheel, Flamethrower, all the usual generic fire moves. We'll move on now to my least favourite of the three. I have to say Popplio. It's a weird design, I would say. I'm not really sure how to describe it. It does just look like a seal and a mouse mashed together, which is why I said seal raster. I don't really... The nose, the pink ball nose thing is a bit strange, but I guess it's, it's a circus performing seal. I think we can see that. But yeah, it looks just very mousy to me. The description there, as you can see, says when it's on land, it takes advantage of the elasticity of its balloons, which intrigues me. Where are balloons on that? Does it mean that its flippers are made of balloons, I guess? Is balloons a term for flippers that I don't know? Am I that bad at marine biology? Yeah, aside from the random use of balloons where I don't understand it, it's... I mean, like I said, it's a circus seal, isn't it? So, great. Like, I assume it's going to evolve into a walrus. We're going to get Walrein or Dugong again. It's going to be better than Walrein and Dugong, quite clearly, because it's, you know, there's a bit more very good, a bit more investment behind it. You know, being a starter Pokemon. Dual typing. I mean, aside from obviously like ice, I don't know whether balloons suggests anything, or it's not going to be some kind of flying Pokemon that's going to end up with balloons attached to it or something ridiculous. It's going to float. No, I don't see much in there to get excited about. Obviously, moveset wise, it gets Water Gun in terms of its basic move, which is pretty predictable. It's pretty straightforward. I'm assuming it's going to get Bubble and Bubble Beam. Just going by the pictures here, as you can see, it looks to be pretty good with bubbles. So maybe we'll get a unique bubble type attack. I have to say, I do appreciate this. This is pretty great. But again, that's more to do with Rowlet than it is to do with Popplio. And this is just like, why? This is the kind of, like, no, I don't care about you, Popplio. You look smug. You shouldn't be so happy with yourself. You're not that good. Oh, there we go, balloons. Well, yeah, it's not balloons made out of water. That's not really a balloon, is it? It's just a bubble. But, I mean, it says the elasticity in its balloons. See, now I'm just trying to figure things out on the fly here. So it uses balloons to bounce off. Okay, whatever. Let's ignore that for now. That's irrelevant. It's not a hugely exciting Pokemon, and like I say, it may end up being something more like Samurott. I can't tell whether it's going to be a physical or a special type Pokemon. My voice is starting to fall apart, apparently. Yeah, we'll see where we go with this. I don't... The directions that I can see you going with the later evolutions aren't as exciting as the possibilities are with the other two. I'd say, I mean, I don't see how you get anything apart from like a big sea lion or a walrus, or, you know, some kind of similar creature out of this, whereas you've got lots of designs of cool birds or cool cat types that you could use, and you can go and do something creative with and make them look amazing. This, I don't see how you can make a seal look particularly cool, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I mean, it may well turn out to be amazing for all I know, which is basically nothing, as you can tell. But yeah, it's not my favourite of the three. It's pretty weak. The name is weird as well. I don't know what Popplio means. At least with the other two, you can kind of see part of an origin of how the names have been put together. I mean, I assume Pop is to do with the balloons, but the name is weird. The design isn't that great. It doesn't have a lot going for it. So unless the later evolutions are incredible, I can't see myself picking Popplio. I think that's pretty clear. We'll have a look at the other evolutions here. If I can find a decent sized picture of them. There isn't really one. That's going to send me straight back to Popplio, isn't it? No good. There we go. We'll just use this bit. So the Sun and Moon legendaries, they fall into the area of looking like two Pokemon that already exist that have just been smashed together and coloured up. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the Sun legendary is just Pyro and Entei smashed together. I mean, it's just a lion basically, isn't it? I'm intrigued the colouring obviously being white, I mean you'd assume being sun that it's going to be a fire type, but the colouring doesn't necessarily suggest it. So is it going to be maybe, I'm not even sure what you could make it, like whether it be a fairy type, whether it be like fire fairy maybe. I think there's, from a typing perspective, this is the most intriguing Pokemon, because what you would expect isn't necessarily backed up by the design that you see. I like the mane, that's quite good. But yeah, I think the most intriguing thing for me, aside from the very odd face that's pulling, it seems to be some kind of, I don't know, Samoan warrior. Yeah, it's the most intriguing thing is what type is it going to be, because when you go to the Moon starter, again you think Dark type being Moon, and it looks like a Dark type basically. The disappointing thing is that it looks like it flies, so are we just going to get another Dark flying type? We're going to have 2 Dark flying legendaries in a row. I think that would be kind of underwhelming. But, I mean, it looks cool, I like it, but it looks like basically any bat-type Pokemon's been mashed up with a Lunatone. It's hard to sort of describe as well. It's an odd-looking thing, but I don't know, neither of the designs are incredible, but yeah, I mean, unless it's got a second typing that's not flying, or it's maybe not even Dark type, I guess, it's probably my least favourite of the two, just because it seems a bit more like what we've seen before. How they're going to play together as well is the interesting thing, because obviously, whereas last generation you had Fairy and Dark, you've had this sort of interplay there. This one, are we going to get the same sort of thing where you have the type face off, or are we just going to get 2 types that don't have any kind of relative connection to each other? You're not going to get one that's super effective on the other, we're just going to get 2 types that are neutral to each other. This is partly, in fairness, why I'm thinking maybe we're going to get, like, presumably if we assume that the Moon starter is Dark flying, I think we could get quite an intriguing type matchup out of like a Psychic and Rock type or something ridiculous like that, but I don't see how you could make the Sun starter a Psychic and Rock type. Yeah, that's, we don't even know our names, so we can't really, again, we've got even less to go off with these than we have with the starter Pokemon. But yeah, all in all 5 Pokemon that we've seen so far, I'm not hugely impressed. There are things there that I like, but they all seem a bit too like things that already exist in the Pokemon universe to get me that excited. The new region, on the other hand, I quite like. It was the Alola region. I'm going to have to just edit this probably in a bit better, because the picture itself doesn't really fit perfectly. Yeah, it's clearly Hawaii. I think we can say that for starters. But there's potential there for something interesting. I think there's a lot of surrounding islands, a lot of things there that you can explore. There don't seem to be a lot of big towns when you see the full map there. There seems to be like a port at the bottom. You've got maybe one sort of industrial town just above that. Then there's like a small bit in the top left. You've got like I assume it's going to be like a cave / tunnel in the top centre sort of the map there, I suppose, with what almost looks like a waterfall just to the side of it. Actually, if you look at it carefully enough, you can see just a stream of white. That could be an interesting point. I don't know whether we're going to get some kind of waterfall there. I quite like that idea. Maybe that means the return of Waterfall the HM, which is going to be disappointing really, because I hate that bloody move. But yeah, that could be interesting from a visual set point as well. Yeah, no huge towns. The area at the top in the middle is quite interesting. Looks like some kind of, I don't know, like a worship place, almost like a sort of Hawaiian Stonehenge type thing. Whether that's going to be the site for something important, I don't know. But yeah, when you look at the whole map, you don't see a lot of huge towns, you just seem to see small settlements here and there. I suppose that's probably more typical of Hawaii than having massive towns everywhere, but it does set up an interesting dynamic for the game as to whether you're going to have 8 huge cities with gyms, or whether you're going to get the gyms spread around somewhere else. Maybe they're just in small cities, or maybe there are 8 huge cities there somewhere and they're just not visible on the map, or I'm just not noticing them. If you look down the sort of island clustered on the bottom corner there on the right hand side, the small island at the top of those, just to the right of the 3 small rocks, there appear to be things on it. That's the other thing I noticed from the release there of the full island. I'm not sure whether they are people or what they are, but that could be intriguing. I assume they're just people, and that maybe that's not going to mean anything, but there does appear to be something there, and whether that's going to be something significant could be something that is worth looking at later. The volcano that appears to be just the other side of the rocks there, the big volcano on the left of that could be interesting as well. I'm guessing it's not going to be going off all the time. I don't imagine we're going to get the Heatran thing. Oh, I suppose we probably could get it. That's just going to be Heatran's lair, but I can't imagine we're going to be getting a lot of volcanic eruptions in this. It's not going to be doing a lot from that side of things. It doesn't look like it's a particularly active volcano from the picture, but yeah, it's an island that has potential. I think it's until you see more of the towns and villages. I think I don't want to go too hard on it. It looks good. Obviously, the areas that we have seen, I think, are quite nice, but we'll see where we end up, I guess, really. I'd like to see more of the towns. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they've set up, basically, because I can't see that there's going to be the big cities that we had, like the black and white. We had Castelia City, things like that. I can't see that we're going to get that so much. Whether we're going to get a lot of smaller... I like the idea of smaller villages, but more of them. But again, the Pokemon Center dynamic, the Pokemon Gym dynamic is the thing that would be intriguing from that point. I think that's pretty much everything that was announced. I think I've rambled for long enough on that. But yeah, the other thing I suppose is the release date, which is November the 23rd, I believe. If we just go back and have a check. Yeah, November 23rd, thank you. That is kind of annoying, being in Europe, because obviously the American release date is, I believe, the 18th, and that is America, Japan, Australia, basically everywhere that isn't Europe, which sucks from our perspective, because we have 5 days of sitting watching other people play the game without being able to do so ourselves. Obviously it means if I want to know the story and I don't want it spoiled, I have to stop watching people and stop watching their Let's Plays on YouTube. I have to avoid them. And obviously from a YouTubing perspective, Sun and Moon releasing could be a good opportunity for me to grow my channel, and to then have that sort of compromised by the fact that I live in Europe and everyone outside of Europe will be able to start their Let's Plays 5 days before and will pretty much have finished the whole game by the time I even get a chance to start playing it. Kind of gives the non-European YouTubers an advantage in that sense, I feel. I mean, it's not really something that I would imagine they would have to consider. I don't think it's something that they should consider, really. I just think it's odd that they're releasing it to Europe 5 days later when I don't see what they're going to be doing for those 5 days. I can't see that they're going to be needing to change the languages a lot, because you're already releasing it in American and Australian. It's not like you're going to be having to retranslate it from Japanese. It just seems like an odd decision. I suppose Nintendo never really seems to be that bothered by Europe as a whole, so I don't know why I expect anything different. But I mean, let's be honest, I'm still going to be standing outside midnight release waiting for it, and I'm going to get the game and I'm going to play the shit out of it straight away. I'm quite tempted to buy 2 copies, so I have one to play possibly on my channel. I do need to look into getting a capture card for the 3DS to do that, but that might be something that's worthwhile. And then having a second copy that I can just play on my own in my free time, because going away from this for a minute, going to the Blaze Black Let's Play, one of the things that I found frustrating doing that is time management. Basically, is normally I would play a Pokemon game in all my spare time, but with this one I'm limited to the times when I can record it, basically. And with most Pokemon games, I play through them and I finish them within a week, pretty much, and put like 200 hours into them because I have no life, basically. But the way that the fact that this has dragged on for about 5 weeks and I've made basically no progress frustrates me, because I want to play it, but I know that I can't unless I'm recording it. So that's going to be one thing I think hopefully I can get around when it comes to Sun and Moon, being able to record that. I would hope that I might be able to get videos out quicker, but I get the feeling that it's going to be hard for me still to record at the pace that I would like by the time November comes around. But this is one of the things that I guess is just going to be something that comes with time. Maybe I might be able to find a bit more time, get a bit more space to record in, things like that. But yeah, it's frustrating, and it means obviously I can't upload with the frequency that I would like to upload, the frequency that most other YouTubers upload their videos. 1 or 2 a week is steady, but I would like to be able to do more. It's just the fact that if I did that, I would run out of videos within 2 weeks, and I would have nothing that I could upload again for another 4 or 5 days after it, which would kind of defeat the point. So unfortunately, for the foreseeable future, it's going to carry on as like a 1, maybe 2 episodes a week thing. I do have 2 weeks off work now, which is good. It means hopefully I can try and get some videos stacked up. One of those weeks my housemate is also off work, so that might not be the most productive week. But the second week I am all on my own, and I'm planning on trying to blast through a lot of videos, get a lot of Blaze Black recorded, try out a few new things for the channel, look into making some top 10 videos, top 5 videos maybe. We've got possibly some Let's Look At type videos coming, as much as I tried that with the Banner Saga and failed miserably. I might go back to the Banner Saga actually. I might play it a bit more off camera and then try and re-record a bit further into the game when I've actually got a bit more used to the controls. Because one of the things I found with that was that it took me a while to get settled with it. I am still writing a blog post about my experience with the Banner Saga, but obviously again, bear in mind with that, the fact is I've played the tutorial and that's about it. So it's not really going to be a review of the game, it's just going to be my initial assessments of what I saw. That may get reviewed and updated if I do go back and play it again and try and re-record the video that I made in the Banner Saga. But yeah, there's things that I want to record. There's a lot of games on a list that I've got. Yeah, I think there's plenty of stuff that I can do with the channel. It's just getting the time to do it. So these 2 weeks could be quite important for me to get my arse in gear basically and get some videos stacked up. I'm aware that there are things that I need to improve on still, aside from just upload frequency. I do want to change some graphics. Again, that's not a huge matter of urgency at the minute, so it might not be done soon, but it is something I'm looking to do. I do want to get some time to, change my layout for Blaze Black, make that better, because it's a bit plain. I would like to maybe get a better set of boxes for the logos of the starters, things like that. Yeah, there's lots of things on that side of the graphical side of it that I want to change already. The thing to bear in mind there is I am still very new at graphic design, I guess you would call it. So my skills aren't great. I'm not going to be knocking up incredible stuff, but I want to give it a go. I want to make something better than what I have now. I don't think it's terrible what I have now. I think it's decent enough for, you know, someone who's never tried before. But there are things already that I can see that I could do better and that I want to try and do better. On that note, one of the things that I think I need to try and do better is my commentary, and that's something that I need to work on. Even now, I feel like I ramble a lot. I sort of stumble over my words, but I think that's the problem that I have, is that I am like that. Basically, I talk a lot about nothing, and I tend to mumble and stagger over my words a lot in real life. So taking it to this kind of format was always going to be difficult, and it's something that I do find difficult, I will admit that. But I think it's, again, having the 2 weeks will help me probably, if I can get more used to doing it, because at the minute where I only seem to record basically 1, maybe 2 days a week, it can be difficult because I don't really get the chance to get into a routine of doing it. I don't necessarily get comfortable doing it. So, you know, going 1 week without recording an episode of Blaze Black and then trying to get back into it is almost kind of like starting from scratch. But after I find that I've done 1 or 2 episodes in a day, it gets a bit better, I get a bit more used to it. So I'm hoping that having 2 weeks where I can sort of get a few videos done every day, get more into the habit of it, will make that easier for me. I might try and change a few things. I know I need to try and get a better outro, because I do kind of just go, oh yeah, see you later, bye. But yeah, the discussion as well, I'm going to try to say that's nice and things like that less, because as I think I mentioned in the last video that I uploaded, which was part 6 of Blaze Black, I believe, I noticed that I say that a lot and it's starting to piss me off when I edit the videos, let alone when anyone else actually watches them. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I know I can improve on and that I want to improve on, but any suggestions are welcome. I mean, graphically, if there are things that people don't like with my videos, things that they think I can improve upon, I will look into trying to do that. From a commentary standpoint, that's going to be a bit more difficult because that's changing the person that I am, I suppose, but I'm going to try and do it. I want to be better at it than I am. So yeah, any advice that anyone wants to give me is appreciated. Obviously, constructive advice rather than just shitting on me would be lovely. Don't take that out of context, and don't take that as shitting on me would be lovely, because it really wouldn't. Don't ever think about doing that. I'm completely not into that, I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. I'd like to try and not just be very basic with my commentary. I feel that I, at the minute, just talk about what's going on in the game and don't have any sort of external entertainment value outside of describing what I'm doing in the game and maybe occasionally saying something to do with what's on screen. So yeah, there's a lot of evolution to do in this channel. I mean, it is only 4 or 5 weeks since I started it. I maybe am being a bit hard on myself by expecting to be great already, but that I think is again part of who I am. I just get quite frustrated when I can see the way that I want to do things and then can't actually do it that way. So yeah, it's a process that I will endeavour to speed up as much as I can, but one that I think you might have to wait a while for before you get the quality that I desire, certainly, but probably that you desire as well. But if you are watching the series, thank you very much, it's really appreciated. I will be trying to remember to beg for likes and comments and subscriptions and things a bit more, because that sort of stuff helps my channel. It will hopefully make my videos more noticeable, etc, etc, all the search engine optimization stuff, blah blah blah. So yeah, any support that you want to give me is great. Hit me up on Twitter, all that sort of stuff. Read the blog, leave comments. Anything that anyone can do to back the channel is fabulous, is really appreciated. I am rambling at this point, I think, so I'm probably going to call it here. I think I've pretty much covered everything to do with Sun and Moon. There's been an unintentional channel update in here now as well, so that's good. Yeah, hopefully you should see some more Blaze Black. and hopefully some new videos, some new series, I suppose, in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, get looking forward to that. Be sure to subscribe again, as I say, really helps the channel. It will make sure that you get to see all these videos, they don't sneak past you. I have to say I'm not the greatest at promoting them. Obviously, being a tiny channel, they're not going to get promoted for me. So yeah, subscribing will be huge for me, and anything else you want to do, that if you want to like all my videos, that'd be great. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing again. Yeah, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, buy the broski shirt, the headband, etc. Yeah, we're done here, I think. I'm just making a fucking shambles of this now. So yeah, thanks for listening, I guess, enduring maybe. Taking it back to its original point, what was your favourite Pokemon out of the new starters? Which one do you think you're going to be using? Share your thoughts about the release in general, the island, anything you want to talk about. I'm intrigued to hear everyone's thoughts about it. I don't know whether I'm out from the general consensus on the issues or not. So I think a bit more enlightenment from everyone else might be interesting to see. So yeah, let me know, keep watching, and thank you, and I will see you next time.